Welcome to another edition of Capturing the Intangibles, where today we bring on some new guests to talk about running successful innovation beta projects, or what we call innovation showcases. Adoption of new concepts can be difficult, so we dive into what's worked for us and our customers. Welcome into another episode of Capturing the Intangibles. We've got a couple of newbies here. I don't think we've had you on the show before, but why don't we start off with some quick introductions? Satish, why don't you go first?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here, Rick. It's a great opportunity, first of all, to share our experiences here. Satish Bhatta, long timer with Infor, finished my 25 years. Awesome journey with this company for so long.
Congratulations.
And, with this, thank you so much. And with this team, amazing team, our platform technology team. So based out of Atlanta in US, that's me.
Awesome. Max?
Perfect. Thank you, Rick. I'm Max Fisher. I'm actually a newbie here. So 1 year working with Satish there, just recently out of college. So hopefully I can give some different perspectives there. And I am based out of Salisbury, North Carolina. Home of Cheerwine and Food Line, if you guys know what that is.
Yeah, that's always what he says.
Yeah, you say 1 year, Max, and I wouldn't say that's, let's just say you've seen some things in that year now. So you're no longer a newbie. We can't call you that anymore. So
yes.
Fair enough.
But hey, guys, we have you guys on here, obviously, for a specific topic. One thing that I wanted to really start talking about more is the concepts around beta projects. We started something, I guess it was a little over a year ago, right, Satish? Maybe a little longer, but it really picked up about a year ago around this concept of innovation showcases. So Satish, let me start with you. Can you introduce the concept of innovation showcases, what it is for us, those types of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more than 1.5 years, Rick, now. So January 2021 is when we kickstarted this program. The intention was very simple. It's actually, we are collaborating, working closely with customers to help them adopt. Okay, so to help them adopt our platform technology, that's the most important objective that actually we embarked on, right? And ultimately, that's where the customer value is. Customers have to see the value of our products, the technology platform. It's part of the cloud suites, and we have seen from our experiences that they tend to spend more time on the core ERP and the business factors there. But then there's a lot of power in the platform technology that they have not harnessed. So that's where we started the journey of innovation showcases. And most important focus has been on the latest innovations that our platform technology team has been releasing, like, for example, machine learning, Colvin AI platform, other innovations around core InfoOS adoption, a lot of things, right? That was the focus for us. And then it was an amazing journey, I would say. We started with maybe a couple of customers. Now we have 35 plus customers. It's an awesome customer testimonials that I think they're actually giving to us, by the way.
I think what you're hitting on is it's more about customer adoption, right? So when we started this particular episode, I mentioned about beta projects. So it's like the connection here is our version of innovation showcases is the validation or part of that customer beta program. So when we're talking about, just to set the scene, when we talk about beta projects in this forum, we're not really talking about the smaller sort of functional upgrades that you might get as a part of, well, we're not talking about upgrades per se, because we're talking about cloud technology, but those types of things that you might get in pre-prod or a month early, we're not talking about those. We're talking about full functional new technologies that we're trying to adopt, which obviously can sometimes be hard or can almost seem as disruptive to businesses, right? So as a part of this innovation showcase program, Max, over to you. What do we think are the benefits of running this program, both from our perspective and the customer's perspective?
First and foremost, Rick, from the customer's perspective, it can help them solve a solution and help them modernize adopting new technology. So whether that would be, for example, some sort of mobile application or some sort of hyper automation they could use, the first time they're seeing these things that they don't even know what they don't know sometimes with the technology that's out there. And so them getting a glimpse of it helps them solve their own solutions that they might have. Hyper automation, for example, doing a task all the time over and over and over and over again. That can be completely automated through a new software, robotic process automation. But then from our side, why do we want to get in these beta projects? Well, it helps us battle test our software. It helps. So the first customer seeing it, you don't want that first customer who's paying to have it crash and wreck their system. That would not be good. And so you want to battle test those softwares, but also it helps you learn, because if you're a software company, you're not in the shoes of the customer every single day. So you don't know exactly, the awesome use cases that could be out there. But also you don't know how to, fix it just right for that customer until you actually give it to a customer. And so those are both sides that I think are great opportunities for just customer and for us as a software company.
Yeah, I think it's really helped us be a lot better, because we almost to a fault, we try to push the envelope with innovation pretty quickly within our group. But I think it's helped us with our rollout process a little bit, because the last thing we want is some type of new technology sitting out there for a year that's not getting a whole lot of traction. Guess what? The next thing you know, we're doing a whole portfolio analysis of what makes sense, what doesn't, what's the margins on it. But probably the biggest thing is you said a lot of things that I would say is around the ROI, right? Like, what's the customer going to actually get with it? But in turn, that helps us too, right? Like our investments in development, what's the ROI for us? Because our ROI is not necessarily just about the cost and benefit, it's the benefits of the customer is what I'm trying to say, right? Because that's going to quantify a lot more than just the cost of the project.
But also, if I want to add, is on the product maturity, right? So which is also so important, right? So, obviously the customer feedback coming at the initial stages would really, set the tone for a great product to evolve, right? And that's where I think all these beta projects or engagements with some of these early customers actually will really help us in the journey, by the way. So,
yeah, that's awesome. So let me piggyback on top of those customers, Satish. So I would say being the guinea pig with some of these newer technologies is obviously something that traditionally is quite hard. Like, how do you go into a customer and say, hey, let's do some ML project because we think we can get X, Y, and Z out of it? And the first question is, well, who else has done it? Right? So I think one of the things we've tried to do with Innovation Showcases is get around that. But specific for our beta program, how have we gone about getting customers on board?
it's a good point. Okay, so we source customers from multiple contacts actually for us, right? We work with multiple groups within the organization. That's how we source the customers for our showcase and beta projects. Most important thing is these are not a sort of cost on the customer, right? It's more like we drive the cost and we take the cost as a product management and development organization. We are running this program from our side to make it successful for the customers and also for Infer, right? And then again, when we decide the scope, we want to make it more like less invasive for them. And, it's not like we are devising a huge implementation project here. It's a limited scope so that the customer also feels comfortable to run this small project with us and give that valuable feedback within that short time frame, right? So that's a critical part. So identifying the right customer with the right scope and the right timeline is critical for a small beta project to be successful really here.
Yeah, awesome. So it's really taken on, the companies that are running these really have to take that sort of burden away from the customers to get that rolling, right? You got to have those, we call them showcases, but you got to have those proof points to go out there. But Max, you've done a lot of these at this point now. You've even been out on photo shoots on doing interviews with end results for ROI, right? Give me a scenario or example of a showcase that's worked really well. We don't have to name customers or anything, but what was the technology? What went really well? What was the outcome? What are your thoughts there?
So I'll go off the most recent one that I was able to go out and interview. That works really, really well. And so how that process came is, we got in contact with them, have weekly status calls. We stay, very up with the customer all the time. And it wasn't like we were doing something that was, we would think was groundbreaking. It's something that we might think, oh, well, that's something we could do. And to the customer, who didn't know this technology was out there, we were using machine learning and then some simple workflows with document management that helps them in their everyday task. and they have loved it. Loved it, and spoke so good about it. But how did that come to be? And so with that customer interaction, we've asked them, how would you use this? How would you visualize this? Where would you use it in your workplace? And then, ask those questions of what's troublesome for you. And so we didn't go in pushing an agenda of we're going to do X, Y, Z. We came to them with, what do you do in your daily task? What do you might need help on? And they had some suggestions, and we grouped internally, figured out, we could use, maybe a use case centered around machine learning here, or using a workflow here to help this customer, and it helped them a solution they already had in mind. So we didn't come to them trying to push something that we had created to them. We let them come with the idea, and we helped them build a solution. And, with that, it's also a good relationship there. Satish and I, we got our big smiles on every week, emailing back quickly, always open for, quick communication or quick calls, to get this customer through the line. It wasn't like we just emailed them once and then did our thing and then emailed them 3 weeks later. We stayed, good connection there.
Yeah, that's awesome, Max. There's one aspect I want to double click on a little bit here, and that's the use case definition part. That really resonated to me when you're talking about you went into the customer with this technology, not saying, "Hey, we can solve X, Y, and Z." You went in and said, "Hey, we've got this new technology. Here's in theory how these things work. What are the opportunities or issues that you have that we can try to apply and see if we can build something together?" Now, in contrast, it's almost like a chicken and egg situation. I'm constantly being asked, what's the solution we're selling? What's the solution we're offering? What's the use case we're offering? When from a platform technology side, from these innovative technologies, it kind of seems like you're saying it has to be driven from the customer side to build off those use cases first, rather than building something to then go and offer. And maybe that's a way to introduce these types of technologies better. Would you agree with that, Satish, or do I have
Absolutely.
maybe I have it backwards?
Absolutely, Rick. I think that feedback is critical, right? We are transforming as a team, right? So, which is where this showcases program is really helping us, right? Engaging with the customers early in the cycle and help, working collaboratively in the adoption front, right? And it's not just not for some of the already released products. Some of these upcoming innovations, like we have our hyper automation product, robotic process automation, RPA, or some of these new product features getting released. We really want customers to start adopting them through these innovation showcase or beta engagements and give us that valuable feedback, rather than build the products and then actually look for customers who are really going to adopt them. Customers are engaged upfront in the cycle, so that's really valuable for us in this feedback cycle.
Yeah, we should have started this a long time ago, I guess. But yeah, so Satish, not to put you on the spot, but do we have an example of what hasn't worked well, and do we have anything we could take away from that?
I would say we have not encountered that a specific customer, in terms of what hasn't worked well on an engagement as such in the short 1.5 year cycle we had. But then there are areas where we have already seen, Max and myself, where things will not go well, okay, if you don't do a few things properly. Like, most importantly, go there with a proper scope, okay? So we should have a proper scope. We cannot just put too much of scope on the table for a customer to chew, or even for Info to chew, right? So we cannot take that scope and execute a project within a short span of cycle, for a successful outcome. The other point is also the technical challenges. Whatever we have, we should be aware of it, right? Because this is not a full-blown complete release cycle sometimes happening. So we have to make sure that we cover all our bases on the technical areas, like how to configure, deploy, provision a product well, so that the customer gets a good experience in the short span of few weeks, right? And so those areas, like scope is one. Obviously, the technical challenges should be taken care of. And the last and third one is, most importantly, the ability of the customer to focus and work with us on those few weeks with us, right? That's like, if a customer is really not innovating and is not engaged with us, then the outcome will not be really successful. So it's going to be a joint collaboration.
Yeah, sure. there's something about, obviously I know our 35 plus customers fairly well. They all tend to have a similar type of what I'll call a profile in my mind. But especially for the audience, those being customers that may have to realize that, how do I adjust my profile to take advantage of these types of things? What do you think is Max, what do you think is the consistent profile of customers, or what are the attributes of a particular customer that does well in these types of programs that can get more out of it?
So what that customer kind of looks like, they're usually the small to medium sized businesses that we found that are able to give those efforts for those 6 to 8 weeks and give a lot of focus. But also those smaller IT organizations and companies maybe have a little bit more power. And so that they can go over to a business user and have them test it out quickly. Whereas it doesn't have to go through these long week cycles with some of these, massive enterprises just for testing purposes. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't look at those massive companies as well. We have a bit of both. I would just say for ones that you're trying to get really quick feedback in and try to get these, ultimately software into production, those small to medium sized businesses are awesome. I don't know, Satish, do you want to chime in here?
Yeah, another area of success, and we have seen when customers get engaged, Rick, is the business and IT side of customers coordinating and collaborating well and joining this program, right? Whatever we're running, it's not like one arm within the customer's organization works with us, but the other arm probably is missing. So because it's a value conversation here, so we need the business also along with the IT organization. So both of them working with us right through this small journey, will really make these projects successful. And also it's a great outcome for them and for Infor both.
And I'll tell you a quick example of how that goes. Some smaller organizations were talking to their IT manager and they go, hold on a second, let me go knock on his door. And they go to the business user, they knock on the door, come look at this, what's your feedback here? What do you see here? How would you maybe use this? And they give us good, honest feedback right there. Whereas in other organizations where the IT and the business aren't as connected, it's, well, let me think, who should I go ask for that? And then we get, a week down the project, 2 weeks down the project, and they're still looking for that business user to maybe test this. Whereas with those more, tightly wound IT and business units, the feedback is very quick, and what's right and what's wrong right there. And that keeps that momentum in those projects going.
Yeah, you called it more SMB focused, but the more I listen, it's almost like it's just the nimbleness of the business, right?
Exactly.
The ability to not have strict barriers across departments. Now, I have seen some enterprise scale businesses that also don't have those. And guess what? It boils down to a culture, and it's empowerment, it's collaborative that ultimately creates that sort of nimbleness. But I agree with you, like so far in some of the customers we've worked with, you notice that sort of culture more indicative with the SMB, let's call it. But I do think it's around those one things. You have to empower your workforce, specifically IT, to not always have to go to the CFO for certain things, the collaboration between business and IT. But at the core, it's a culture. And if you want to embrace these types of innovations, but done in a way to where we can protect the current business process, which that's why I think platform, specifically a cloud business platform, is such a big deal for these types of things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you can protect those core business processes, then you should be doing these consistently, right?
The culture and also the project sponsorship, like you said, which is driven from the top, right? So when somebody is taking the ownership of a project, of embarking on this innovation journey, we have seen great customer sponsors, right? In these projects, right? The sponsorship is like they take care of the project, they bring the right project team. They are behind the scenes making sure that this short project is successful. And that is where actually we have seen once it's successful. And by the way, I just want to quote, like customers are now in their own organizations. Now they start to introduce other departments. They say, hey, we have seen success here with adopting platform technology for this use case. Now, please start to look at options in your own business or in your own team so that you can also work with this great collaborative team here. To reap more benefits. That's actually so enjoyable for us as a team, right? We really appreciate that from customers.
Yeah, it's that creative enablement is what I keep calling it, but it's back to the success breeds success. So that's one thing that I've noticed that we've gotten out of these types of beta programs is like we start on one thing, and that may take us, we can be really fast and agile with it and say, hey, here's an embedded ML practice that can reduce your shortages by 30%. And we can prove that out in less than 4 weeks, which we take a lot of pride in. But then the next thing I know is you guys have come back and said, oh, we've done these 6 things with a particular customer, right? And maybe that's what you're talking about, Satish, is like the defined barriers for us specifically. But I think that's fascinating that if you can get a practice of these sort of innovation showcases or innovation betas, it doesn't start with one. It literally just, it's like a snowball, right? It just, it continues to chain. And I think, I mean, I continue to see, and by the way, the audience should go check out our Infor Technology YouTube channel on our innovation showcases. I think what you'll see is what starts off as one use case becomes many. And we take a lot of pride in that because, again, when you go to the customer for a particular use case, looking for a use case that the technology can help enable, that inherently means that they're the owner of the creative success, which immediately empowers them to do more, to do more, to do more. Whereas if you go to the market with a pre-built solution, it kind of ends there. And don't you want to do more? And that's one thing that I take a lot of pride in with our team. What we're ultimately trying to create is that sort of like long-term partnership, that it's not just about one particular project, one particular solution. It's about the technology that can enable you to do consistently more. And I think that's sort of the culture that we look for in these sort of projects.
And Rick, I would, to add on to that, you said that, once these projects start starting, it's kind of, they snowball the next one. But also we've seen that, we came in solving one business solution with a use case. And then they have brought it to other members of their organization, and they have found a whole different use to solve a different solution or solve a different problem with that same use case.
Yeah.
And it's cool because we never even thought of it. We're like, what in the world? I never thought about it that way. And they're giving this from a whole different angle because they have that own different, personalized business perspective that I don't have. And that, it's really cool to see. So,
yeah. It even crosses barriers of technology too. Like I think I've seen where we even go in and do like, a Infor to third party workflow extension, right? Mm-hmm. And then the very next thing that the customer asks is like, oh, could we do something with digital assistants then? Or, oh, could we do something with ML? Because once you get those creative juices flowing, it unlocks so much potential for this like SaaS as a platform concept that we're constantly harping on. But Max, let me ask, what's been your favorite part of working on these types of projects? I know you're very passionate about it. What's been your favorite part about
it? It's really just, it's going to sound corny and cheesy, but it's helping a customer. I think it's really cool. All these different customers that, have these problems where we're able to help them and then make the business user happy. We had it's actually on our YouTube channel. A stat CNA was able to use one of our technologies to help her in her daily life, walking around the hospital, trying to find items. And it's simple things like that where I'm like, wow, my cousin's a nurse. She would love that. She tells me all the time, like, oh, I hate having to go around and search for things. And so it's something where you're helping people, have a better work balance and work life. And so that's awesome. And then the other part is I get to meet people from around the world and talk to them every single day, morning, evening, night, sometimes really late at night, all around the world. It's cool to see all these different people, all these different cultures. I'm trying to pick up some different languages here. So it's that's been really, really cool for me.
Yeah. So the technology has allowed you to connect it to the human element, which is great. Yeah. I'm glad. Satish, how about you?
No, I think I completely echo with what Max is saying. It's reinforcing that positive customer experience. That's simple, the bottom line, right? So, all we are here is help our customers in this journey. Just make sure that their experience with our products is really successful and, very, healthy enough, right? So they want to get the maximum value of our technology solutions and for cloud suites and stuff like that. So that's where we are. So we are really there to help them, just succeed in their business.
Great. So last general question, then I'll let you guys go. Satish, let's start with you. What advice would you give customers interested in these types of programs, what would you say?
I would say this is a great opportunity from our platform technology and Infor for them to just reach out to us, because like they can just go on, like you said, on YouTube channel, 35 plus projects running here for us. Customers actually, the voice of customers actually speaks. It's not like Infor is selling something here. I would say the voice of customers speaks. There are customers who are embracing this. Other customers or other prospects who wants to really work with us. Feel free to reach out, through your customer success manager, through your product manager, through our own platform technology contacts, to your sales leadership or anyone. We as a team who are running this program, we are really happy to help them succeed and work on their use cases and and create a maximum business benefit for them.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Max, any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
So if I were to put myself in another company's shoes and think of this awesome program to do some beta technologies, it's more like taking full advantage of it. I would come with a very creative mindset, ask questions of things of, pushing the possible. Is this possible? Is this possible? Is this possible? Just to maybe get some future roadmap items, but also help me make my business better. And me, if I'm working in IT for a company and I want to get into one of these programs, this also helps me help my business users. And so, why not? That's the question. I would push it and take advantage of it as much as possible, because I don't know if this opportunity is out there, everywhere. I don't know how many companies are trying to get right with customers to do, almost co-developing some software together and getting it ready. So,
yeah, it's less emphasis on what the technology is and how things are executing. So less from sort of the technical piece, but really, what if we could do X, Y, and Z? And that what if coming from sort of the culture of the customer. That's really what's going to make this successful. But guys, I really appreciate it. This has been awesome. I really appreciate all the hard work that you guys are doing, and look forward to some more innovation showcases coming our way.
Sounds good. Thank you, Rick.